Hey everybody, welcome back to Bags and Omens. I'm your host Ryan, AM Air Pronouns, and welcome to the 28th episode. Um, yes, everything's about a week behind because I had mental health issues that made me take like 3 weeks off, so luckily May is a 5-week month, so um, everything's just moving a little behind. So this week we're going to be talking about the zodiac sign of Taurus, its constellation, and a herb and a stone. Herb is not really an herb; it's more of a plant. Um, Stone is definitely a crystal. I just like calling them stones or rocks, even though that's not at all accurate, which is funny. But anyway, all right. Uh, let's go ahead and dive into it. So our zodiac constellation for this month, even though we're well out of it by now, is the sign of Taurus, which is the second astrological sign in the zodiac cycle, which means it also rules the second house of the natal chart. It's a fixed Earth sign, so it's an Earth sign, obviously. So everything to do with the Earth, groundedness, cool, direction of north, yada yada yada. It's a little more grounded, a little more solid, fixed. Uh, Double that solidness because fixed signs tend to be they don't really want to change unless they're told to change. Well, they don't want to change if they're told to change, they want to change if they want to change. Fixed signs are they take stuff from the cardinal signs and they actually like make it into something. The cardinal signs start something, they're like, okay, well, we can do this with it. They're not really wanting to, they want to take where they're at and they want to build on that. It's also kind of a night or an exhale sign, so it's receptive, more passive. Um, Taurus isn't very much of an activator sign. It's more like you bring stuff to me, not I bring stuff to you. It's more like just give. I will make things homey and I will make things easeful. Like bring here. Do not. I don't go out. You come in. Um, Fixed signs. Apparently, I have that written down. They do exactly what they say they will. Their basic behavior is to fix in place what was initiated by the cardinal signs. They have staying power. They like continuity and dislike change. I had all this written out, and I freaking was like, I don't have it written out. Earth signs, again, material world energy. They're stable. They're practical, patient, sensual. They're kind of connected to nature. Um, but yeah. All right, so Taurus in particular as a sign is ruled by Venus in her maternal or in her material incarnation as a goddess of the manifest. Um, so Venus, as we know, is the planet of love, sensuality, aesthetic, um, beauty, and romance. Kind of along with her namesake, the goddess of Venus, the goddess Venus. Um, in Taurus, she's much more earthy, essential. She's in her favorite place type deal. Like technically, Venus also rules Libra, but in Libra, she's a little more flighty, a little more airy, a little more oh, that's pretty. In Taurus, she's like, oh, that's gorgeous. It stays right there. You know what? We're going to put this over here. It's a little more slowed down, a little more comfortable, a little bit more physical and sensual and just more body based. She's more comfortable. Because Venus is all about the body and love. So she's not, honestly, even as a ruler of Libra, I don't think she's all that happy in Libra. There is talk about about creating a different ruler, kind of like we've mostly done for Virgo, as opposed to being ruled by Mercury, is now mostly ruled by Chiron. Mostly agreed to be ruled, agreed with. The consensual agreement is that Virgo is more ruled by Chiron than by Mercury anymore. Um, so Venus in her incarnation as a goddess of the manifest, of things that are actually there, actually solid, actually like, let's have a statue, let's have this feathered bed. And Taurus is represented by a horned animal, which means they're straightforward and they go headfirst into stuff. This is a stage of life that realizes connection with the physical world. They're like, you know what? It's where we first go from me to, oh, I have toys. Oh, I have things. Oh, there's things. There's a world around me. Taurus also rules the second house in the natal chart, like I said, which is the house of resources, of where we become aware of the physical world, establish connection to the material world, what you value, all your resources, not just physical ones, but also mental, emotional, anything that is a resource in any sort of way. This is where you'll find it in your second house type deal. So we've got that kind of theme going on with Taurus is grounded, straightforward, stubborn, fixed in place, sensual, loving, homey, comfortable. They go on things head first, and they tend to be pretty steady. They're steady. Stage of life. The polarity is Scorpio. Scorpio is the deep diver, the depth, the let's get uncomfortable in this. Let's dive down and get uncomfortable and learn more. Taurus is like, what the fuck are you talking about? We want to be comfortable. We're good where we're at. The build. Taurus also rolls over the throat and vocal cords. Because Aries is the head, Taurus is the throat. It's the zodiac signs go down the body. The stones associated with Taurus are the emerald and sapphire, and the metal is copper. All right, so those with their sun in Taurus will have some of their keywords is their finely honed senses, sensual, practical, loyal, deeply grounded, and patient and steady. They're good to go. They're steady. They're wonderful. They love their stuff. They've got a finely honed sense of aesthetic, and they love being comfortable and sensual, and they're just happy. That steadiness, that groundedness can be pushed into being bullheaded and stubborn and overly materialistic. It's kind of the unhealthy area of where things go. Instead of, oh, this is beautiful and comfortable, it's like, it's beautiful and comfortable, and it's mine, and so is this one, 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 and it's all about the physical materials. Or, no, I want to do things my way can become, no, I'm going to do things my way, and you're going to either do things my way or you're going to get the fuck out. Yeah, so we kind of see that sign. Famous sun signs in Taurus are Queen Elizabeth II, Mark Zuckerberg, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, which is hilarious because The Rock definitely fits with Taurus signs. Those with their rising sign in Taurus, so first off, they're going to be ruled by Venus. Their ruling planet will be Venus. Whatever your rising sign or your ascendant sign is, that sign's ruling planet is your ruler. So like in my case, my planetary ruler is Jupiter because my rising sign is Sagittarius. So if you've got your rising sign in Taurus, your ruling planet is Venus. Good job, you. I can't say that I'm at all jealous because technically, all right, so this fun little side tangent here, real fast, is your rising sign is your ruling planet, but your sun sign is kind of who you are, and yeah, that planet definitely has influence as well. Like seeing where it is in your, seeing where the ruling planet of any sign in your chart is, kind of tells you a little bit about that sign and where it is, and a little bit, they all interconnect. Like where the planet is informs the sign, informs the planet, informs the house, informs the other house, they all inform each other and interact. And then each of those separate parts, like, okay, so this, I've got this connection. Now, what about it in this house, and how does that connect to all the this houses sign and planet. It's a very large interconnected in how they all mix together. So the planets of Jupiter and Venus are both known as benefics. They're beneficent planets. They tend to give luck, and they tend to give good luck, basically. Jupiter is known as the greater benefic. Venus is the lesser benefic. I think mostly just because of size. My ruling planet is Jupiter, and my sun sign planet is Venus. So I got double benefic. Anyway, fun side note. But anyway, so rising signs, again, similar stuff you'll find with the sun signs. They're strongly rooted. They're kind of like. And the other thing with rising signs or ascendants is what sign your ascendant is. It tells you a little bit about a person's body shape or their actual looks. It's obviously going to be your best bet is to go very generalized because it's not going to be exact. So people with the rising sign Taurus tend to be a bit more like, it tend to be like a, according to Louise Eddington, to be kind of like a strongly rooted tree. They're thick and steady and immovable. They're sturdy and solid. They're just kind of like a tree. They tend to be very soothing people, steady paced, sensual, have a pleasant voice. Again, ruled by Venus. It's like they might be big people, but they're also they're soothing and comfortable and gentle because that's what Taurus kind of is. All right, famous rising signs in Taurus are Martin Luther King. And she just specified Martin Luther King, not MLK Jr., so I'm assuming his father. Boy George, I actually don't know who that is. And Miley Cyrus. Well, there goes that strongly rooted tree body shape out the window a little bit. Well, I don't know. She's got a bit of a solidity to her. Yeah, she's pretty solid. Maybe not the big hulking tree you might think of when you hear that, but she's solid and maybe a little tree-like. I mean, there's many different types of trees, so yeah. MLK, definitely. Boy George, I'm so familiar, but I don't know who that is. All right, so that's the zodiac sign. All right, so the constellation for Taurus is, of course, Taurus, or Tauri, which is Latin for the bull. It's been known that constellation has been known since the early Bronze Age. Depictions have been found dating back to about 15,000 BCE. In Mesopotamia, it was known as the Bull of Light and associated with the god Marduk. In Egypt, it was known as the Bull of Memphis, who was it was known as two things. It was either the Bull of Memphis, who was a servant to Osiris, or the constellation was Horus, who is the son of Osiris. And if I remember correctly, Horus is the hawk. I don't think he's got an association with the bull. So yeah, I just quick looked up Horus. The closest association he has with a bull is the fact that his consort is Hathor, who is she is a bull-headed deity or cow, actually, specifically. But other than that, no association with the bull. So maybe the constellation was supposed to be Horus himself and the falcon as opposed to a bull. But we see kind of a pattern with this constellation being associated with a bull constantly, which is interesting. It's also known as the Bull and the Seven Sisters because the constellation of Taurus is right next to the Pleiades, or the Seven Sisters, the seven stars. In the myth, the Grecian myth associated with this constellation is, well, there's got a couple, and it applies to the Pleiades as well. So the myth is that Zeus shapeshifted into a bull in order to gain the trust and then kidnap and rape the Phoenician princess Europa. He abducted her. Basically, he was pretending to be a very sweet, I think he was a white bull, and she was like absolutely like awed by him and was like, "Oh, this is so pretty." And he kind of kneeled down. He was real gentle, let her pet him. He kneeled down. She's like, "Oh, that's cool." Climbed on his back. He jumped up and zoomed off because he's a dick. So basically, kidnapped her, raped her. Well, most likely raped her. Abducted her away to Crete, where they had 3 sons. Fun enough. So I don't even know in that case. One of whom eventually became King Minos of Crete, who had to annually, who due to his, actually that explains why he had a bit of a beef with the gods at one point, because he insulted, I believe, oh, that's what it was. I remember them now. Okay, so a lot of bulls in King Minos's stuff. So first off, his mother, he's the son of Zeus in the form of a bull who abducted his mother. I doubt Zeus actually had sex with her in the form of a bull. I hope. Ugh, I don't know. But anyway, his mother was abducted by Zeus in the form of a bull. He eventually, another white bull was sent to him. I don't remember all the circumstances behind it, but Poseidon gave him a white bull, and he promised to sacrifice it to Poseidon. Except for he got kind of like, well, this is really pretty and I'd love to breed it instead, so let's just sacrifice this brown one over here instead. Poseidon was not fucking happy about that because he wanted his bull to be sacrificed to him. So he actually caused King Minos's wife to fall in love with the bull he'd sent. She actually had the castle smithy built her a bronze cow that she climbed inside and basically had sexual relations with the bull with. And through that gave birth to the Minotaur, who was the bull-headed, basically a feral berserker type deal who King Minos had trapped in a undefeatable labyrinth beneath the castle, which is funny because they always call it a labyrinth, but I'm pretty sure it's more of a maze because a labyrinth has one single path, whereas a maze has multiple ones, and the way it's described, it's more likely a maze than a labyrinth, but whatever. I guess just tradition at this point. And every year he annually had to sacrifice 7 maidens and 7 youths to the Minotaur, which leads into a whole other set of stories. But again, we have that 7 maidens, the bull and the 7 sisters. There are also 7 youths, so we've got. But basically, again, we have that bull with the 7 people. So that's kind of that's the constellation of that's associated with Taurus. And as for whether the constellation itself is Zeus in the form of a bull or the Minotaur, well, it's usually a bull, so it's probably Zeus in the form of a bull. But fucker. All right, so that's the constellation and the zodiac sign of Taurus. So let's move on to our herb and stone. Like I said, our herb today is more of a plant, not an herb. It is barley, if you've read the description. So we're going to be talking about barley, or also known as malt. So, specifically we're talking about the plant Hordeum vulgare, which is also, now, interestingly enough, as I was looking this up, found out that apparently barley doesn't really have much nutritional value for humans. It tastes good, but it really doesn't have a whole lot of nutritional value. Something to, but it's very easy to grow and very easy to cultivate and take care of. So, meh. And it tastes good. So, malted milkshakes, not all that healthy, but meh. So, a little safety note about barley is you should not ingest the sprouted seeds. So, like you know how you're making how people make sprouts, where they'll take the seeds and they'll stick it in a jar until of water until they actually start sprouting, and then they'll eat those sprouts. Um, you should not ingest the sprouted seed if you're pregnant, according to Scott Cunningham's Book of Magical Herbs. Do research on that. Always do research on this shit. If you're really interested and you're not sure about something, always look it up. We have Google for a reason, and other web search browsers, or web searches. It's like just the science is out there. You just got to find it. And ask about 5 versions of the same question if you need to. Sometimes that'll help find more stuff. So barley is a feminine herb. And it's funny, I've mentioned this before, but Scott Cunningham even admits in his book that he separates feminine and masculine as just based on their properties. So it really doesn't even freaking apply. Not to mention, I don't like gendering them anyway. Though in this case, it kind of makes a little bit of sense if it's more receptive and associated with the home, which, given traditional gender roles. But you know, let's go with that. It's a bit more. It's an herb. It's a grain that is used to make bread, to make homey stuff. It's used to make shakes thicker and taste better. So for thinking, it's really of a homey kind of plant. It tastes good. It is ruled by the planet Venus, and it's associated with the element of Earth. And yes, I picked it specifically for those. I actually did a lot of cross-referencing in his for this one, because, you know what the fuck, might as well do that. Its properties have to do with love, healing, and protection. So I found a lot on protection, actually, when I was looking it up, more so than I did anything else. Healing, not a whole lot. Actually, everything I went looking up online was pretty much straight out of the Scott Cunningham book. The only healing spell he's got associated with it is to get rid of a toothache. So by basically wind barley around, like the barley sheaves, the like stocky plant, or maybe basically kind of the fibers of the barley plant, and wind it around a stone and throw that stone in the river. Walk away and don't look back, in order to get rid of a toothache. And you can use, for love, you can use the grain or barley water in love spells. Basically, you can just add it into. It doesn't have any specific associations. It's most often used for protection. You can scatter it on the ground to keep evil and negativity away. Actually, that's about it. I'd say if you're going to be like using it kind of like a kitchen magic type deal, like making barley water to give yourself a little bit boost of love, putting it again, using just the malt in shakes for love, maybe even some protection, because you know what, this feels homey and good and keep me in this safe feeling space type deal. It's also used in the Wiccan festival of Lammas. It's associated with Freyr and his aspect of the sacrificial corn god. So it is used in the second harvest festival, I believe. No, first harvest festival, the one associated Lammas, also Loafmas, basically the time when we make bread. However, do remember, like I said, barley does not have a whole lot of nutritional value, so barley bread is more flavorful than actually nutritionally dense. It's really not. So I'd use, if you're going to make something with barley, I'd use it mixed with a different type of flour in order to keep that barley flavor, because it does have a distinct flavor, but mix it with other nutritionally rich grains like whole wheat or like hard wheat, or I can't think of anything. I'd mix it just mostly with just straight up wheat, probably. If you're really interested in it, do some looking into it. I might actually do more looking into that too. But yeah, so that's kind of barley, kind of a sweet, simple, steady, lovely plant, perfect to be associated with Taurus, honestly. It's just simple, sweet, straightforward, and fixed. All right, and the stone, I picked emerald just because it's one of the stones associated with Taurus. It's actually one of the birthstones of Taurus, is the emerald. So the emerald is associated with its its aspects are inspiration and infinite patience. Infinite patience is a hilarious thing, and I'm like, damn, put that together. Um, So it's a stone of successful love, calming. It's calming on emotions. It brings up harmony and equilibrium, strength of character to overcome. Um, it brings joy and mental clarity. It's just a stone of kind of just keeping things steady, bringing joy and love into the world, and just kind of calming everything down, making things harmonious. It did come with side note, and I get this from Judy Hall's Bible, Crystal Book Bible, or Bible of Crystals, or whatever it was called, Crystal Bible. And she did have a side note in there of do not wear this constantly, as it can trigger negative emotions. So because it's so even keel, it's like at a certain point that nice calmness is just going to start to slowly dip. Because we can't keep in one state all the time constantly. For one thing, that'd be really fucking weird. For another, we're just not built that way. And if this stone is keeping us grounded and down, eventually it's going to just kind of, those emotions are just going to die and dip down into the negative area. So don't wear it constantly. But if you just need to kind of just calm down, keep yourself steady, and going through it is kind of a stone of joy, but it's kind of that more like undertone joy. Like it's just things just kind of look good out like that. So if you're gonna go somewhere hyped up and you can wear your emeralds, do so. And that's what I have, and we're only at half an hour, but you know what? I think budget, it's good. All right. So that was what I got for you all today. We will see you next week with strength as opposed to the hermit because, shit happens. But hey, it extends the minors or the majors on a little longer, so cool. All right. Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe here if you got stuff you want to say. If you want to read or you got something a bigger question for me, you can email me at bagsandOmens@gmail. Come find me on Facebook at Bags and Omens. I'm not currently doing a lot. I'm hoping to get back into sewing a little bit more, but we'll see. Doing my best. If you hear any growling, I apologize. I have not eaten yet today, and it's already 12:30. So I'm gonna go grab some food. Yeah, and y'all have a good rest of your whatever, and we'll see you next week. Take care.